Okay, hey, smart fam. While your bagels are baking in the oven right now, yay, they're beautiful. I am going to show you how I feed my starter. So I'm going to feed my starter and then take some of the starter out and put it into another one and feed a starter for you. So I'm just going to feed it, and it's gonna be, as far as I don't know if you know about starters, maybe you already know all this, but just in case, I thought I would make this video. Um, there's a dizzying amount of information out there on how to keep a starter and how to feed it and when and blah, blah, blah. But it's taken me, I've had mine for about a month, and this is my fourth batch of bagels, I think, or fifth maybe, I don't know. And I've made about 6 loaves of sourdough, um, and bread, artisan bread, and I'm still working on that. My bagels are much more successful. My bread is actually beautiful too. In fact, I'll show you what I have left of the last batch I made. This is what I have left of my last batch here. You can see the crumb is beautiful. The top is nice. It's really good, but I'm not getting quite the spring I want. But anyway, it is a work in progress having a starter, because you want to find things to do with it, and you want to use it every now and then. So I've been trying to use it at least once a week and make something, and sometimes twice a week. But I haven't. So one of the things you can do is you can put it in the fridge and let it rest. You can let it rest for weeks, even a month at a time. If you guys are going to go on vacation or something, you can put it in the fridge, and then it just isn't as active, and then you bring it out. I haven't done that yet because I've just been using it so much, so I just keep it on my counter all the time and let it feed on the yeast in the air and on things and whatever. So you want a nice active bubbly starter, and you want it to double in size. So here's my starter right now. It had already more than doubled in size last night. So I fed it after I made the bagel dough last night, and then it came up to here, and now it's down to about here. You can kind of see. So it's starting to get hungry is what's going on. So it starts to kind of deflate, but it's still bubbly and active. You can see, I don't know if you can see all the bubbles and stuff in there. But anyway, so I am going to feed my starter for me and feed you a starter to bring you. So I'm going to use this jar for you. I'll have to see if I can find the lid, but when you keep it out on the counter, really you can just, you don't want to put a real tight lid on it. You want it to kind of be flimsily on, or just not airtight, because it might spill over. It wants a little bit of air. So you could even put like a a cloth napkin on it and put a rubber band around that. Or I just use, on my jar like this, oh, here's my jar. On my jar like this, I just use this. This is just the part without the screw top lid. So I just kind of set that on there, and I even have a little tiny opening when I set it down for my about 12 hours. So I feed mine twice a day because it seems to like that, but it could also be because it's it got kind of sluggish for a while. It goes up and down, because I'm still trying to figure out the recipe of the best in my house for how warm it is in my house and what happens in my house. So it might be different for you if your house is more drafty because you have an old house. I don't know, it might want a little bit more flour, but for the most part, I do about, some people keep smaller starters and some people keep bigger starters, and some people keep smaller starters and then give it a bigger starter feed when they're going to make something that later that day or the next day. So lately I've been doing 1/2 cup of starter, 1/2 cup of lukewarm water, around 80-ish degrees, and and for the water, and then a scant cup of flour. Sometimes I'll do a little less, like a third cup of starter, a third cup of lukewarm water, and a scant 2/3 cup of flour. And I like to mix it in a bowl, so I'll take my starter out of here, mix it all up with the water and the flour in the bowl, and then transfer it into a new jar. So I always have 2 jars going. So that's the way I do it. Some people just mix it right into the jar. This jar I'm going to give you has kind of a smaller top, so you might, if you have one that you can transfer it to that has like a wider top, if you want to mix it in there. If you're mixing it in a bowl though, then it doesn't really matter so much. Although I think they do I sometimes feel like they do, like, the starters have a mind of their own, you know? I don't know what to say. But I swear mine seems to kind of like a wider, I don't know. But I ran out of my wide lid ones, so I'm giving you this one, and you can transfer it into a different one if you need to. It's an old pasta jar, I think. Okay, who cares? So here we go. I am going to do my starter. So I just need, okay. So I'm gonna do mine half a cup of starter. I'm just gonna go right on in. This is a half a cup. And I'm not making anything with this right now. I'm just making 2 starters. Usually if I'm making one, then you're gonna have a kind of a good amount of what they call discard, and you can either discard it into your sink or compost. You can put it in the compost. You guys have compost, so I think it's okay to put it in the compost. You can look that up, but I'm pretty sure. I don't have a compost right now, so I've been putting it in a jar in the fridge, and then sometimes I will just make, it's good for like things that don't need a big rise, because the discard is not as active, because it's like after it's kind of deflated and it needs to be fed. So it's good for like pizza doughs, or like, I don't know, there's all kinds of recipes. You can look all that up. So I got my half a cup of starter. I like to use a nice bendy spatula to get it out, because it comes out so nicely. And it's very active and bubbly right now. I mean, it's starting to get hungry because it's starting to deflate, but it's not like all the way down to the rubber band yet, you know, because the rubber band's way down there. But anyway, so there's that. And then I'm gonna make another one for you. So I'm getting another bowl. So we're gonna do another half cup of starter. I don't know, I don't have it so you can see me right now, but I'm pouring starter into my half cup here. And there we've got a nice half cup of starter. Put it in the bowl. Okay. I feel like this one I did was kind of a scant half cup, so I'm going to just do a little bit more. Okay. Yeah. Then we're going to do half cup of water. So I'm going to put, I'm going to get some water in here. I'm going to do a cup of water, because I'm going to put a half cup in mine and a half cup in yours. And then I'm going to warm it in the microwave. A cup of water in my microwave is probably 15 to 20 seconds to get it to lukewarm. Maybe more like 15 seconds. Yep. Well, let's see. So I have a you know, like a candy thermometer, and I just I like to see about how many, because they say it should be at least 80, I mean, like 80, 82, 83, between like 80 and 85 is good. Mine's only at 76. Okay, so I'm going to do like 5 more seconds. see. Okay, that's about right. I'm just gonna give it a couple more seconds. It's like right at 79, so. All right. So, there we go. We're at like 82 now, that's fine. Okay, so I'm gonna do a 1/2 cup in one. This is when I probably should have my glasses on. Okay, 1/2 cup in one, 1/2 cup in the other. And okay, and then you can take a fork and just mix the starter and the water up. Mix the starter and the water up in the other one. Just till it's pretty liquid. It'll be kind of bubbly a little bit, but you know, you want to kind of get it liquidy. Mix that starter in. Okay, and then I'm gonna do a scant cup, which means just, you know, barely a cup, barely a full cup. You don't want it to be a level cup, just like barely a full cup of flour. So like, as you can see, if it was full, I would have at least 3 more tablespoons in there or something if it were full. So that's a nice little scant cup. I'm gonna stick it in my starter and water. And a scant cup for the other one. Stick it in there. And I am going to use the spatula. And I'm gonna mix it up. It's gonna get kind of thick. I like mine kind of thick. So you will kind of experiment as you go and see what you like. I like mine to kind of, it starts to get almost like really thick dough batter, but it feels even like this like gelatinous more thickness to it than like pancake batter. You know what I mean? Because you want it to sort of lift off the sides easy when you use the spatula and go around. Sometimes though, like, see, I like this consistency. It's sort of, it's like real thick. It's real thick, but then again, you don't want it to be like too thick. And you can always add like a little splash of water if you're feeling like it's too thick. And you'll experiment during the days as you go. It might take like a week before you like really get a rhythm with it, or a couple days, or whatever. I've changed my recipe a few times over the last month. Like for a while I was only doing a 1/4 cup of starter. So anyhow, this is kind of a long video, isn't it? But that is it. And then what I do is I pour it in to a jar, and I make sure that I'm holding my bowl easily so it just easily goes down into the jar. I like to have a pretty clean jar so that I can see. That's why I like to change the jar each time I feed it, because I like to see how it rises and then how it falls. So, you know, you can see where it's risen to after it starts falling, and that really gets you to start to know your starter well. So you know how your starter behaves and when it's at its peak. So when it's at its peak, you kind of know because it's real bubbly and it's like kind of like a little bit more than doubled in size usually. So, or at least doubles in size, I should say. But anyway, then I will try and kind of get as much as I can in there. And then I take a rubber band. So I'm going to take the rubber band off my other jar that I'll clean and use when I feed it again. I've been doing mine twice a day, like every 12 hours. So I do it like around 9 or 10 in the morning and around 9 or 10 at night. I feed my starter, whether I'm using it or not for something. That has just been how I've been doing it the last few days. Sometimes I'll go a whole 24 hours and just feed it in the morning. It will come all the way down and get a little bit more liquidy than I like. And so you'll find out what it means when it's getting sluggish. You'll see that term sluggish when you're looking into it. It's sluggish when it gets too watery, it smells too acidic. You want it to like kind of smell sweet with just this undertone, like sweet dough bread, you know, like with this undertone of acidity, you know, like you know. So it's mine smells really good right now. So yours is coming up. I'm gonna put yours in, but right now my timer is about to go off for the bagels. So I am going to check them right now and see how they look. Oh, they're beautiful. Oh wait, yeah, that's fine. I'm turning it around. They are so puffy. They rose a lot and got really cute and puffy. You're gonna like them. I'm gonna give them another minute. So anyway, that's it. So you can feed it twice tonight if you want and just kind of get to know it. Like feed it at like 10 o'clock tonight. If you don't stay up that late, you can feed it a little early.